What's up, guys? I'm Andy. You're watching Learn How. In this video, we're going to talk about my order of startup for an Amazon FBA business. If I were to go back from zero and do it all over again, this is the order that I would do things in for starting my Amazon business. So stick around to the end because you're going to learn step by step, every single step of the way, what I would do to get my business up and running for the lowest cost possible with the least amount of risk. The first step in starting an Amazon FBA business is figuring out what to sell. Now, I would personally use Jungle Scout to find or to validate my business idea. Now, that's an important differentiation right there because you can come into this type of business model with two different, trains of thought. You can come into this business with the idea of, I don't know what I want to sell. I have no idea what I want to sell. All I know is I see the opportunity of starting a business using Amazon and I want to take advantage of that opportunity. So I'm going to open up Jungle Scout and just look for products to sell. Now, the way that you're going to do that would be through, let me open it up right here, would be through the product database research tool. So I have tons of videos on my YouTube channel where every Tuesday I'm putting out a new video showing you how to do product research with Jungle Scout and all the different types of categories. I talk you through what to look for depending on what category you're interested in. So I would highly recommend you check out some of those videos. But you're going to come to the product database and you're just going to be, clicking on categories that interest you, that you have experience in. Maybe you want to do something that has to do with sports and outdoors, but you don't really know what you want your first product to be. You're going to come here, you're going to put in all the criteria that we talk and teach about, and then you're going to get some ideas for products that you could potentially sell, right? You're going to think about it more than just the numbers. You're going to think about, is this something that I could make better? Is this something that I could market better than the competition? All those different types of questions, you want to make sure you can check off those boxes. The second train of thought for starting an Amazon FBA business is the type of person that already has an idea for something. They just want to see if, Amazon FBA is the right strategy to launch their business model. So the way that you would go about doing that type of verification, or validation, is you would use the Jungle Scout Chrome extension. You would come here to Amazon. You would type in your product idea, like let's say pillowcases. Let's say I'm going to put right there, silk satin pillowcase. I'll put silk satin pillowcases. Maybe that's your idea and you're like, hey, I have a great idea for a silk satin pillowcase. I think Amazon FBA would be a good opportunity. Let me go and verify the market. Let me see what the competition's like. Let me see what the demand is like. So you can come here to Jungle Scout, right? Click on your little Chrome extension and analyze and look at the data that way. This second method is more of the method that we used when we started our Amazon FBA business. We already knew what we wanted to sell. We knew we wanted to sell dog bandanas. We just came to Jungle Scout and validated the idea. We looked at the market, we looked at the landscape, and then we used that data and information to craft our offer. Because we didn't just want to go in blindly and say, oh, we're going to sell this bandana for this much money. We had to see, what are other people doing? How much are they selling it for? How can we position ourselves and grab a piece of this market? So that's why you're going to want to do your Jungle Scout research using one of those two different methods. That's step one, okay? Step two in my order of startup for an Amazon FBA business is come up with a brand name. So you've already figured out, okay, I want to sell dog bandanas or whatever it is you're going to sell. Then it's a matter of coming up with your brand name. For us, the brand name is Remy and Rue. Now, we named our brand after my dog Remy, which is a golden doodle, and my neighbor's dog Rue, which is a miniature, she's actually a toy poodle. So Remy and Rue, we liked the name. We thought it was trendy. We thought it fit well with our, branding, positioning, and all that good stuff. So for you, you're going to want to think about that. Think about your brand name. Think about what type of ideal customer you're trying to reach. Does your brand name resonate with that type of person? Along with step two would be to hire a graphic designer to design your logo and your word mark. So they can come up with your branding kit. I have an example of our branding kit in my guide 0 to 67, I have an example of our branding kit in my guide, 67 Lessons Learned. You can get a download for that. There's a link for a discount to grab that guide right below this podcast episode or below this video on YouTube, wherever you're watching or listening. But yeah, you'd hire a graphic designer and get your branding kit. Step 3 would be to design and optimize my first product using Photoshop. So now that I know what I want to sell, like let's say I want to sell succulents right here, I would open up Photoshop and I would design what my first product is going to look like. So you can do that a couple of ways. You can just draw it out using the shapes and pen tools in Photoshop and kind of do like a rough, almost like a patent mock-up, what you would send into a patent application. Or you can take a photo of a very, very similar product and put your own color on it, your own design on it, your own dimensions. I like to think of it as like a blueprint. So I like to draw dimensions of the product. I like to draw little arrows and point out what the different types of materials being used are, as if you're going to send that to a manufacturer and say, here's my blueprint for my product. Go ahead and make this. It's like Lego instructions. You know, when you get instructions with your Lego set and it says like step 1, do this, step 2, do this, and it has pictures of how it all pieces together. Same type of idea. You want to make it as clear as possible so that you can send that out to manufacturers and say, this is exactly what I'm trying to create. Then step 4 would be to reach out to manufacturers to find potential suppliers. Now, let me rewind here really quickly in these first 4 steps that we've talked about. And let me talk about where I've spent my money so far. So figuring out what to sell, I've spent money on Jungle Scout. Now you can get 50% off Jungle Scout. I've got a link below this podcast or video to get you started with that. 50% off your first month would be $34. I've come up with my brand name. I've kind of done that on my own. Maybe I've hired a designer by now. So maybe that will cost me $100, $200, $300, depending on who you go with, right? That's up to you. I've designed and optimized my first product using Photoshop. If you're like me, I already own Photoshop, so that wasn't really an extra cost. But maybe you don't, so you go ahead and buy Photoshop. Your first month will cost you like $10. Now I'm reaching out to manufacturers to find potential suppliers. That doesn't cost you anything. You just use Alibaba. So I haven't really spent that much money up front, to be honest, through all these different pieces. You don't want to go out and just spend crap tons of money from the get-go. We're being smart with our spending up front. Now when I feel good about my brand, I feel good about my first product, I've started to do my market research, I've designed a really awesome product, I've found manufacturers that can make it for a decent price. I haven't necessarily found the manufacturer yet, but maybe I've reached out to 10, 20, and this process takes some time. This isn't like, oh, I'm going to do this in 1 week. This takes months. But I've found some manufacturers, 3 of them that I really like. They said they can do what I've sent them my blueprint, right? They said they can do it. After all that type of I guess, all those steps, then step 5 is crunch all my numbers. So I'm crunching all my numbers. I'm crunching my numbers. What is my offer? How much am I going to sell this for? I'm crunching all the numbers I'm getting back from my manufacturers. So how much does it cost to make the product? Cost of packaging, cost of shipping, air, freight, all the different costs, right? Shipping from my house to Amazon. You're going to calculate all those costs. I've got other videos, podcast episodes coming out for you guys on all this good stuff. But that's step 5. Once I'm happy with those numbers, meaning I've crunched on my numbers and I see a big fat margin of 45 or 50% margin, then I'm like, okay, let's do this thing. At this point, now it's time to kind of start spending a little bit more money. Step 6 is I'm going to set up my LLC. Now, I'm kind of learning this with my private one-on-one coaching students that it's not as cheap to set up an LLC in other states as it is here in Utah. In Utah, I think it costs us like 40 or 50 bucks a year. Super duper easy. It took me like 30 minutes to get it set up. Whereas I'm hearing that like some of my other students over on the East Coast and in California, they're like, oh, it costs like $1,000 or $800. So yes, I would wait until you get to step 6. You've crunched all your numbers. You feel good about everything before you set up your LLC. Because I would hate for you to set up an LLC, spend $1,000, and then be like, oh crap, this actually isn't going to work. The numbers aren't right, or things aren't working out. And then you've kind of wasted $1,000 on an LLC for no reason. So yeah, verify all that stuff. Step 6, set up your LLC. Step 7, I'm opening a business bank account. You need an LLC or an EIN in order to open a business bank account at almost any bank I can think of. Maybe there's a way to do it with your social security number, but the banks that I've talked to all require an LLC and the paperwork. So I'm going to set up a business bank account. I'm going to run all my expenses and finances for my Amazon business through my business bank account. It just makes accounting and tracking and tax time so much easier if you keep that separate from your personal bank accounts. Step 8 is I'm signing up for Amazon Seller Central Professional Account. Like we talked about in the fixed cost episode, in the fixed cost video, it's going to cost you $39.99 a month. Doesn't matter if you're doing $1,000 a month in sales or $100,000. That's a fixed cost. I'm signing up for that right now because I'm going to get my FN SKUs so I can start sending those to my manufacturer to get my finalized samples going. And in order to do that, you're going to need to buy some GTINs from GS1. I've got another video on my YouTube channel all about to show you how to do this. But you're going to go to gs1.org and you're going to buy some GTIN codes or UPCs. They're kind of basically the same thing. So you can go buy 10 of those, 100 of those, whatever you feel comfortable with for your business. Step 10 is I'm ordering samples from manufacturers. Now, I teach that I want my product as close to final as possible. So I want to get my final product with, let me grab my product right here. So here's one of the products that we sell. I wanted to get this as final as possible. So I want it with like my barcode. I want it with all these warning labels. I want everything to look exactly how I want it to look in a customer's hands. The reason that I teach getting a sample as final as possible is because it's just going to save you time and money. A sample might take 2 or 3 weeks to get to you, and you're going to pay $50 for one sample. So if you're going to order a sample, like let's say, okay, I found a manufacturer to make my whatever it is I'm making, my little stylus pen here or something. Why not have them send you a sample of what you want to sell? Like, there's no point in me going to a manufacturer and say, yeah, send me a sample of your dog bandana. And then they send some random sample of some dog bandana they have, and it's nothing like what I want to sell. Then I just have to go back and say, okay, can you actually make it like this and send me a sample? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of pointless, in my opinion, to order samples that aren't what you want because you want to see if they can make what you want. So it does you no good to just get random samples. So anyways, I design everything. We design the full product. Like I said, in Photoshop, we draw it out. We draw out the packaging, everything, the label, the barcode, everything. I want it showing up at my house exactly how my customer is going to get it in the mail when they purchase it on Amazon. It's going to reduce time. It's going to reduce cost for you in that whole sample process, which can be kind of a tedious headache sometimes. And then step 11, when I find a sample I like, I place my initial order. So at this point, I've got my sample. The manufacturer is good. Everything looks good. I'm ordering my first order. There's all sorts of strategy behind that. We're not going to go into that in this episode or video, but that would be step 11 for me. In the meantime, this is a bonus step here. I actually don't have this in the guide, but a bonus step that I would do after that, I guess, is I would start taking product photos using my sample. So your first order, let's say you order 100, 1,000 units, whatever it is, that could take a month to get to your house. So in the meantime, you're already ready. Like, you have your first product up. You're going to start building your first product listing. So you're going to get the samples. Like, let's say this is my sample pack right here. You're going to get your samples. You're going to use those to take your product photos. Whether you do that yourself or hire someone, that's up to you. But you're going to take all your professional product photos. You're going to start building your Amazon listing so that when your product arrives, your first order arrives, everything's ready to go. You check it, quality control, ship it off to Amazon, and you're ready to start selling. That would be my order of startup from zero to first order. Now, time frame for that, a lot of people ask, how long does it take to do that whole process? Honestly, that really depends on how hard you work at it and a little bit of serendipity and luck, depending on what product you sell. Some people get this ball rolling in 2 or 3 months. For us, it took like 9 months to a year. We did drag our feet a little bit, but it really depends. I mean, it really, really does depend. There's no really solid answer. But if you work diligently, I think you can have this up and running in 3 to 6 months, which is why in my private coaching program, I offer 3 and 6 month programs to help you go from zero to selling your first product throughout. And I help you, hold your hand basically throughout the entire process. If you want to learn more about my private coaching programs, I've got a link below this video or this podcast episode. Just go to andyisom.com. That's my personal website. There'll be links right there to some of the different programs and how you can get more information. Schedule a little quick call with me and we'll talk about it one-on-one to see if it's a good fit for you. If you guys like this video, if you have any questions, leave a comment below this video and let me know your questions about starting your Amazon FBA business, the order of startup. Which of these steps do you get stuck on? Which of these steps are you most concerned about? Let me see how I can help you in the comments below this video. I know you're probably already subscribed if you're watching this video because I've got tons of videos coming out to show you how to build the best business model we've seen in really a long time. There's a ton of opportunity left on Amazon, and we're going to teach you how to launch your business on Amazon and scale it to the moon using all sorts of other strategies and platforms. So make sure you stick around, guys. I'm Andy. You're watching Learn How. We'll see you in the next video.